saying before my camera so rudely interrupted me and, cut me off in the middle of my video. This is part 2 of I don't know how many, because I don't know when it's going to cut me off again. As I was saying about the exceptions to the rules, and about how when people ask me if how I can do some of the things that I do, tell some of the stories that I tell, write some of the stories that I write, say some of the things that I say, and act some of the things that I act, like the vor, the cussing, about animal abuse and cruelty, stories about rape, etc., etc. And I was saying in the first video about the exceptions. Please see the first video if you come to this, because I don't want to go through all that again. But when I talk about it with the Lord and I pray about it, I am told that I have a dirty job. This is a dirty job, and these are the job requirements. A good author should always, you should write for yourself, definitely. But you also need to write for your audience. A good writer should be able to write anything, should be able to make it believable, should be able to, appeal to her audience. So should an actress. An actress should be believable. They should make the character they are playing believable. You should believe by the character they're playing, by their role. That's all part of it. And so the exceptions come in for me when I feel like, I was like, Lord, how is it that all these people are police officers and FBI agents, and they're all going to church, and they're all Christians, and you're okay with that, and I know he's okay with that, and I feel he's okay with that, but they do all these dirty, conny things that are against the 10 Commandments. They lie, they deceive. Everything in military tactics is deception, sneaking up on the enemy. It's lying to the enemy. It's deceiving the enemy. Camouflage, even. I mean, just putting, camo on. That's a deception in itself. You are tricking somebody into believing that you are a tree, or you are a part of the background and the landscape. That's deception. That's a sin. And so it was like, I really have put a lot of thought and a lot of time into this. And I'm trying to sum up everything that all the answers I've gotten into some very short videos here. But the Lord loves his CIA agents. He loves our government. He supports our troops. He demands, us to respect authority. We're supposed to abide by the laws. That's part of it. And but these people go and they do these terrible things that are against the 10 Commandments. They lie and they deceive and they kill. And then in the Ecclesiastics it says there's a time to hate. We're commanded to love our enemies. We're commanded to feed our enemies. We're commanded to love our neighbor as ourselves. But then in Ecclesiastics it says there's a time to hate. So there's a season to hate. So that means there's an exception for hating. We would hate terrorists and he would be okay with that. God's okay with us hating the terrorist. Now, it might come to where these people are terrorists for some reason. Maybe they were abused as a kid and they were beaten and forced to be a terrorist against our country. And one day he might say, you know what? This person, by being kind to this person and loving this person, you would change their lives, save their lives, and they would no longer be a terrorist against this country. And in that very rare possibility, he's going to make another exception to where you shouldn't hate them or kill them or anything. He's going to want you to love them and feed them and preach the gospel to them and teach them about respecting our authority and respecting our country, and try to reach them on a more humble and loving level than to go and say, you're a terrorist, we're going to kill you. So it could be, different. It just depends on your walk. It depends on your role. He knows more than we know. There's a purpose for everything. There's a greater purpose for everything. And so I feel like he's been telling me that there's an exception for me that has been made from my walk that I have for a place where I need to be, for a place where I'm going, and that because of those exceptions to the rules, where I might have to fill a dirty job, like a Marine has a dirty job, and they sacrifice spiritually as well as physically. I mean, they sacrifice their families, they sacrifice their freedoms, they sacrifice a lot to go and fight wars for our country. But what people don't realize is they also sacrifice spiritually. And so it's a lot of sacrifice in those dirty jobs, and somebody's got to do it. It might even be another reason for me to have these dirty jobs. It might be someone that needs to hear this message right here and judge me for doing these dirty jobs, for me to be able to tell them, hey, don't judge me for this dirty job. You know, if a CIA agent can be a CIA agent and God's okay with that, and he loves them anyways, and there's an exception to kill, there's an exception for this as well. I think there is an exception for every single rule. And I also believe that it's not always what you do, but how you do something. So if you're going to hate somebody, it's not that you hate them all the time, it's how you hate them. You should hate them a certain way, maybe. And everything, of course, everything you do and the way you do it needs to be talked about with God. And that goes into sermons that I think about every religion is preaching to their members, to their congregation. I think every religion is saying this now, is that you need to have a personal relationship with God. It is not a black and white do and don't. There needs to be a personal relationship with the Lord and Savior, and to talk about everything you do and make sure he's okay with it. And if you're not sure and you have to do it anyways, pray that it'll all be okay. Pray for forgiveness. Pray to work out. And even if you feel like it is okay, or you even know it's okay and he's okay and he's saying this has to be done, pray for forgiveness anyways, because I'm not so sure that even though he makes exceptions to the rules, there aren't consequences for it. It's still a sin, and even though some sins have to take place, sometimes you have to kill somebody to save yourself. Sometimes war has to take place. They come up against our country and bomb our country, we're gonna have to fight to save our country. So sometimes you're gonna have to kill somebody. Does that mean that, hey, you get off? No, there might be a punishment for that. Or I know that a lot of times the punishment is, like for Marines, for example, even though they're allowed to do this and these things have to take place, they have a spiritual punishment where they feel guilty, and, or they get PTSD and they lose their minds, or, and that would almost be like a punishment that you would receive. Karma, karma's a bitch. And the Bible talks about karma. It calls it, seeds, planting seeds, reaping what you sow, measuring unto others. You'll reap that. You'll measure that back unto yourself. So that's all karma. So when you kill somebody, maybe you spiritually die in a sense here on the earth. Your brain dies, and you go into another place mentally. Brain cells. I don't know, but I don't think that it's like there's that's why he doesn't want you to do these things freely. If you're going to sin, if you're going to have to kill somebody, he doesn't want you just going around doing it all the time because you want to do it. And it will be really hard if you take somebody's life. That cannot be an easy thing to do. If you have any kind of conscience, that's not an easy thing to do. Hating people, lying to people, you should feel guilty about that. If you've lied to somebody that you care about, that should just feel awful. And so that is the punishment that you receive, the karma that you receive for lying. So I don't think that it's scot-free, and that is to keep you from doing it all the time, because he doesn't want you to just walk around, lying to people all the time, and killing people all the time. And, so you have some things some burdens and some baggage that come from it that you have to carry around. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on the subject. I believe that I'm okay, and I talk about it with the Lord, and I ask for forgiveness, and in case I'm not okay and I'm deceiving myself, I ask for forgiveness. But I believe I'm okay. And I think I'm doing exactly what I have to do. My feet are planted exactly where He wants them.